It was one of those warm spring evenings, with a light breeze blowing through the city streets and the reflections of the setting sun on the windows of the buildings. Ennio was sitting near one of these windows inside a small and cozy cafe. He was slowly sipping his coffee, trying to find some peace after a long day. Every now and then, he would quickly glance at the clock, increasingly frustrated. He had been there for over an hour, waiting for his friend Vico, who seemed to have no intention of arriving. If you like stories like this, remember to subscribe to the channel and activate the bell. With a sigh, he took the phone out of his pocket and started dialing Vico. After a few rings, a tired voice came from the other end of the line with the usual joking tone. "Ennio, I'm sorry. They kept me in the office. I can't reach you tonight. It's one of those hellish days." Ennio closed his eyes for a moment, trying not to lose his patience, then hung up the phone, frustrated. That evening was his birthday, and all he wanted was to simply spend a few quiet hours with his best friend. No party, no big event, just a coffee, Ennio had never liked birthdays. Every time, he felt an inexplicable melancholy rising inside him. And now, sitting alone in that cafe, he felt gloomier and more thoughtful than usual. He had returned to the city only a few months ago after 5 years spent abroad for university. He finally felt professionally fulfilled, working as an architect in the company his grandfather had founded many years before. But that fulfillment didn't seem to fill a deeper void. He snorted softly and raised his hand to call the waitress. "Another coffee and a slice of chocolate cake, please." The waitress, a girl with brown hair tied in a braid, brought his order right away. Ennio took a forkful of cake and, trying to distract himself, pulled a notebook full of notes from his bag. Working helped him not to think too much. He scanned the lines full of notes on an upcoming project and found some comfort in that routine. He was responsible for a lot of things in the family business, but it didn't weigh on him. At that moment, work was a necessary distraction. After writing down a few things and checking the plan for the umpteenth time, Ennio asked for the bill. The waitress returned with the receipt, €20. He left her a €100 note without thinking twice. When she ran back to him, shouting after him, he immediately understood that it was for the change. "You forgot the change," she said, panting. But Ennio turned and, shaking his head, smiled at her. "It's all for you. It's my birthday. I thought the best way to celebrate was to do something nice for someone." The girl blushed, surprised. "Oh, thank you. Really. My name is Arianna, and I wish you a happy birthday. I hope to see you here again soon," she said with a shy smile before returning to her work. That night, at home, Ennio couldn't stop thinking about Arianna. There was something about her, a disarming simplicity, that struck him. Despite his success in his work and studies, Ennio's love life had never been so fortunate. He had met girls who were only interested in his money or his position, but Arianna seemed different. If you're still here, don't forget to like. The next morning, like every day, Ennio arrived at the office. He was greeted by Marta, his secretary, a woman with long blonde hair who he had known forever. Their families had been friends for years, and for a long time there had been the hope that one day the two would get married. Marta had never hidden her feelings for him, but Ennio had never felt the same. When that morning she asked him how he had spent his birthday and suggested that they go out together for the weekend, he accepted without much enthusiasm. Saturday night arrived, and as promised, Ennio went out with Marta. They had dinner at an elegant restaurant, went to the theatre, and then stopped for a walk under the starry sky. Marta talked and laughed often, hoping to win Ennio's heart, but his mind was elsewhere. At the end of the evening, when he walked her home, there was no goodbye kiss. Instead, Ennio went without thinking too much to the cafe where Arianna worked. As soon as he walked in the door, she recognized him immediately, and her face lit up with joy. After ordering a coffee, the two stayed talking for a while. Ennio felt incredibly comfortable with her, so much so that, without even realizing it, he found the courage to ask her out the next day. His heart was beating fast as he waited for her answer. "Yes, I would like that," she said, smiling. The next day, they met at the entrance to an amusement park and spent an unforgettable evening among rides, laughter, and chatter. There was a natural harmony between them, as if they had known each other all their lives. As they walked, Arianna told him about her life. She lived with her younger sister, Nivia, in a small apartment in the suburbs. They had lost both their parents. Their mother had died of cancer 3 years earlier, leaving Arianna with the responsibility of caring for her sister, who was only 7 years old. Ennio listened with empathy, feeling a strong desire to protect them growing inside him. The days passed, and Ennio felt more and more torn between his feelings for Arianna and the weight of the family expectations that tied him to Marta. But one evening, everything changed. Arianna called him in tears. Nivia had a high fever and wouldn't stop coughing. Arianna was desperate and didn't know what to do. Without thinking twice, Ennio ran to them, took the little girl to the doctor, and took care of everything, from the medicines to the medical expenses. From that moment on, the bond between Ennio and Arianna became unbreakable. Yet at the office, Marta seemed increasingly impatient to make their relationship official. One day, she showed up at his office and asked him directly, "When will you ask me to marry you?" Ennio was speechless, completely taken aback. They weren't even together. "But how can you say something like that?" he asked, confused. Marta explained that her grandfather had already decided for them. He and Marta would get married. Have you ever been torn between heart and duty? Tell me your experience in the comments.